All right, so one more example of cosine, sine, using radians and all that good stuff. So this problem here, we're asked to find not just the first three, sine, cosine, and tangent, but cosecant, secant, and cotangent, the reciprocals of those original trigonometric functions, which is actually pretty much a piece of cake. So we're going to follow the same process that we did in number 29. If you want something that goes more into how to derive these relationships, you want to look back to number 23. All right, so first off, one of the things that I've been mentioning is that we want our theta, or in this case t, our angle, to be between 0, and we're using t in this case, and 2 pi. Well, as we can see, this is negative 2/3 pi, so the strategy that we learned before is that we can add full revolutions and end up in the same location. So if I have negative 2 pi over 3, I can just add 2 pi. 2 pi, if you again, as you recall, is also equal to 0 radians. So in reality, we're not changing the value of this in the least. So we have negative 2 pi over 3. Getting a common denominator, I see that this would be then 6 pi over 3. Okay. Add them up, and we see that this is the same as 4 pi over 3. Now I can go back and I can use my plate to get me where I need to go. So I am saying that I know that this is equivalent also to 4 pi over 3. So I'm going to go ahead and just put 4 pi over 3, and I'm going to put a little arrow down. All of these are 4 pi over 3, and then when we get to them, we have 4 pi over 3 for these as well. Okay. Now going through to find the values here, if you notice, I already labeled it with the trig values that I know it has for the unit circle. So we're going to go ahead and just stick with those. And again, if you are looking more of how to derive those, look at number 23. I went through it in pretty extreme detail. So I look here on my plate, and I see that 4 pi over 3, well, that is just negative 1/2 for my x. Write it down here, x, and negative 3 over 2 for my y. So now we just go ahead and we go through and plug it in. This is the easy part. So it's the sine of 4 pi over 3 is equal to y. Y is negative square root of 3 over 2. Now cosine is always equal to x, so in this case we look at our x and it's negative 1/2. Now tangent is going to be y, negative square root 3 over 2 over x, which is negative 1/2. Negative over a negative, if you do the math here, and I'm not going to go through it in detail, you're going to end up getting square root of 3. Now, the real easy part is finding their reciprocals. We don't need to look back to our unit circle. All we have to do is flip them. So this, or 1 over this, is just going to be negative 2 over square root 3. Now, you should multiply both top and bottom by the square root of 3. And I'll do that for this one, but not for the rest. And you would end up with, and I'll write it right down here, you end up with negative 2 square root 3 over 3. Okay. For this one here, you would end up with, well, 1 over this, well, we're going to flip it, and we'll get negative 2 over 1. Okay. And then the very last one, well, I just flip this, and I would get 1 over square root 3. Okay. Which, if you know, I said I wouldn't do it, but I like to be complete or thorough. And here we would get 1 times square root of 3, so square root of 3 over 3. And that is how you do every single one of these that involves one of our common angles that you would find on our plate.